Okay, welcome to episode 9 of the Podratix Gaming Cast. I'm Zach, joined by the I just want to say ever amazing every time. Sophia,
if you
how are you doing?
If you absolutely must.
Did you notice the pause there?
Yeah, well, I notice it every single time. I'm sorry to put you on blast or make you self-conscious about it.
I was so used to doing it from QGP, so
okay. Well, yeah, ever amazing is fine. if that helps you stay on track, then I'm fine with ever amazing.
Or maybe one of these days I'll just remember to not say it and not pause.
Yeah.
Every single time.
We'll figure it out. Well, or maybe now that we're in sync, I can insert my own name. And then
That's true.
and then I can.
I guess technically I don't have to introduce you. I guess you could introduce yourself. But
I could. I think the problem before was that there was a little bit of a delay, but we've since figured that out. Although
this
I would,
very exciting podcast topics.
Although it might be prudent for me, to going into this podcast, especially with what we'll be talking about. I show up and I say, "Remember me." I was really trying to figure out how I could make this actually funny before I said it, and I didn't get there in time.
Well, you tried.
I tried. I'll workshop it. I'll come back.
So I guess jumping into the news real quick, there's kind of one big thing, and I personally don't have a lot to say about it, so this will be pretty brief unless you have something specific to mention. Gamescom was this week. It did not happen in Germany as it normally does, but it was still streamed in the normal time.
I've heard the name Gamescom, but I don't know what that is. Is that like E3 but to a lesser?
It's like Europe's lesser E3. So there's generally not as many announcements. This year Jeff Keighley took over because he's just everywhere now. I guess. Cool. He did like the Summer Games thing and the Game Awards.
What is?
He's the only one in the industry apparently who can host a show.
He's just so into video games, I guess. That he wants to be the champion of them all.
Because he used to be involved with E3.
Mm-hmm.
But then, leadership kind of just kept getting worse and they kept making dumb mistakes, and then he left and did his own thing that still wasn't nearly as good as E3, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We still kind of need E3 after all, I guess. So he hosted it. I watched part of it while I was doing something else. There really wasn't a lot that I was super interested in. Halo Infinite has a release date of December 8th now.
Mm-hmm.
It's still, unfortunately, not going to be a complete game. I don't know if you heard. The Forge is not going to be there until 6 months after launch.
Oh, weird.
Which is a little worrying for the multiplayer side of things. Yeah. A lot can happen in the multiplayer space in 6 months. But
especially because they've already released the multiplayer, haven't they?
That was the beta.
Oh, okay.
So it launches on December 8th. The campaign and the multiplayer, free-to-play multiplayer games are both launching on the 8th.
Okay.
So, and then the co-op campaign is not going to be there until 3 months after.
Why not? Why? What's the rush? I
think they just don't want to push it another year out.
But I think people would be so much more happy if they finished the game with everything that they had planned and then released it.
I mean, I would. You and I would. I think last year was a very bad look for them because, I mean, obviously they were planning to release it last year all the way up until 3 months out or something, because it was supposed to be the big launch game for the Series X. And they were still promotional stuff. The Series X box has it on the back as if you can play it. So I guess it's just they didn't want like more egg on their face.
I guess so, but I mean, there's already like a precedent for this sort of thing. I mean, like Breath of the Wild got pushed back like 5 times.
Yeah.
Persona 4 or 5, whatever, 5, the red one. Persona Red
Yes. Persona.
got pushed back like 100 times.
Yeah.
We're still not even sure if it actually released.
I'm still not sure if they finished Cyberpunk at this point. That game got pushed out like 50 times.
Yeah.
And it was still broken. Yeah, so I feel like, especially now, like Cyberpunk really kind of set the tone for how publishers should be treating, or I guess a cautionary tale, if you will. So, yeah, I feel like they should have just delayed it 6 months and then just had everything.
Yeah.
I know, like a lot of people look forward to that co-op campaign. That's one of the most fun things about the campaign mode is the co-op. So
Yeah. I mean, that's been a staple of the series to like not have that at launch. That's kind of a big deal.
yeah, it's not a good look for 343 again. I feel like every game they release has like some big controversy, unfortunately. So I don't know. I'm hoping it's still really good. I'm probably not going to be playing it at launch. I'll probably play the multiplayer, but
Yeah. Well, I think we're planning on getting it. So I'll let you know how that goes.
okay.
Because my girlfriend is super into Halo. I've only recently been introduced to the Halo games.
Yeah.
Like the past couple of years, I played them for
Same.
the first time. So like I understand, but like why this is a big deal.
Right. Yeah, I feel like most of the hardcore Halo fans though would rather see it delayed too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and like you said, especially after like what happened with Cyberpunk.
Right. Yeah. Other than that, there's a new Saints Row game that's like rebooting the series.
Yeah, I saw that.
Never played those, so I don't really have too much to say on it.
Yeah, I've never played them. Like I probably played like a little bit. Like I think my cousin had it, and I played a little bit of it, and I've seen like the odd video here or there on YouTube, like the odd video of like YouTubers playing it together or whatever.
Gotcha.
But other than that, like I don't really know anything about it. It's always seemed like Grand Theft Auto, but like silly.
Right. I think that's kind of what they're going for, just like over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, more over the top, I guess.
Yeah. I know one of them you had like superpowers, so like,
yeah, I think that was the fourth one.
It's always seemed like a really interesting series. I've never gotten into it.
Right.
I think I've up until now I've never had any consoles that I could play it on, because I think like when it was first a thing, it was like Xbox, PlayStation 3.
Yeah, I still don't think they're on PC, and not the older ones. I think.
No, I think like 3 and 4 are.
Yeah, 3 I think got remastered, but I don't think it launched on PC. I don't remember it launching on PC. 4 I think did. Anyways, Horizon Forbidden West was confirmed to be delayed till next year.
Is that
so didn't play the first one. Still looks good.
Is that the sequel to Zero Dawn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got our first look at the new Call of Duty. Yay!
Cool. Wow. Activision is apparently taking over Call of Duty, isn't it? So that's
always been there.
Oh, it has?
Series, yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I don't know what headline I saw then.
I was gonna say that's kind of old news, but yeah. We got a new trailer for Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. That game has been delayed like 50 times.
Really?
Yeah, this one is apparently. I know that sounds silly if you haven't been following it, because it's like they make one like 2 a year or something.
Yeah.
But if you've noticed, they've stopped. I think around like 2018 or 19. I think 18.
Yeah.
And they've been like putting a lot of effort into completely revamping the series. So it's like more of a third-person shooter action game.
Huh. Okay.
It still has like a lot of the, goofy, cartoony Lego Star Wars vibes, but apparently it's supposed to be really different. There's like free galaxy space travel and stuff.
I would love for there to be like a 3D platformer Lego game. I feel like that's I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I like 3D platformers, but
What do you consider the Lego games?
well, the Lego games I would almost consider them like 2.5D side scrollers.
Okay.
In a sense,
Kind of, they're a little more like 3D World, I guess, but with like more combat focus.
yeah,
combat
but it's less about having like a sandbox and
sure.
being able to just kind of like goof around in it. Like I guess Lego City.
Lego City's fantastic. I don't know if you've ever played it.
I've never played it. It's in my wish list and it keeps dropping to $9, and I'm like, no,
it's so worth it. It's so worth it, especially now that they added co-op. That wasn't in the original version.
Oh yeah.
So I think the only thing you lose with the non-Wii U version is there aren't the Lego Nintendo references. Like there were some Lego Cheeps, mushrooms, superstars, but it was just all like little cameos.
Is it any good on Switch?
I mean, it ran pretty well on Wii U, and Switch is slightly better, so I would imagine it's slightly better.
Okay, I'll scoop it up at some point because
it's like Lego GTA, but with a lot more charm.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm always excited to see what Lego is doing because, like, say what you will, but like the Lego games for the most part are a pretty good romp.
Yeah,
and they've only gotten better.
I feel like there isn't like none of them are truly like masterpieces, but they're always just a good time at the very least. Mm-hmm. So, and then the kind of big final announcement that I didn't think was that big is they were showing more of the Death Stranding director's cut.
Oh wow!
So I don't I don't know what to think about this one because it looks like it looks like they've made it not awful looking, but at the same time, I wonder if that kind of destroys the original vision of the game. Like it looks like Kojima just kind of gave up and went, okay, here's like there's literally a pair of legs that will carry your like packs while you just run around next to it.
Huh.
So like I thought the whole mechanic was, figuring out how to pack things properly so that like you're not too slow, but also like getting enough resources that it's worth traveling that far. I thought that was I thought like preparing for the journey was the big thing. And if you can just put that on a pair of robot legs and run freely next to it, it's like, huh. Like I've never thought Death Stranding looked that fun. I'll probably check it out at some point if it's cheap enough. But it looks like it makes it a playable game, but at the same time, it kind of breaks the entire point of it. So I don't know. There's a racing mode, if that's something you wanted.
Yeah, I don't know. We picked it up on sale recently, and my girlfriend has been playing it. She seems to really like it. I don't. So I'd be interested in seeing like what she thinks about it.
Okay,
I'll ask her about it.
I forget it's on PC now.
So apparently there's a director's cut of Death Stranding that is out or is coming out. I don't know if you've seen or heard about this. It adds like a bunch of stuff that kind of like changes the like director vision a little bit.
It's literally a tour video game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, there's a director's cut of a game that is just a director's cut in and of itself.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. Well, hopefully, the operators have free DLC to people who already own it.
Yeah.
But probably not.
Probably not. I don't know if that got picked up, but
yeah, it was quiet, but
well, you might be able to boost it.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested in taking a look at it and seeing what's different. And I'm sure a lot of people on YouTube are going to do some comparisons.
Oh, sure.
I guess we'll see. I'm interested.
So
I'm interested in playing it because she said that she really likes it. She thinks it's a very interesting game.
Yeah, I feel like most people. I don't feel like there's much of a middle ground with this game. Like either people love it or hate it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like,
it really seems like one of those things where like you have to take it exactly as it is, and
yeah,
you like which I guess you have to experience it the way that you are expected to experience it
right.
in order to get anything out of it. So I don't know. I feel like the majority of people just want something that they can jump in and out of. But this really seems like something that you have to dedicate yourself to.
Right.
But anyway,
Yeah, that was about it for Gamescom. The big announcements. April's playable in the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge or whatever it's called. Which I don't know if you know, I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan, so that's pretty cool.
I know very little about the Ninja's Turtles. So,
yeah, the game's been delayed to 2022,
okay.
which is probably a good thing because there's more than enough games coming out this year.
Yeah,
as is.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like the next couple of years are going to be really big, just given all of the games that got delayed.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. We got a lot of really good stuff coming out, but
yeah,
who knows? Maybe next year will be even better. Because that's when Switch 2 comes out. No.
So you want to jump over to what we've been playing?
Yeah.
So you had mentioned Hollow Knight.
Yeah, I just
as a way of unwinding, right?
Yeah, I chose to, instead of taking time off for myself, I chose to stream some art just for the heck of it. And I had a lot of fun, but I didn't really get a lot of relaxing done from doing that. So like, I'm specifically taking time now on my weekend to not draw, play Hollow Knight, because I was like, I don't know. I've got so many games on the Switch. Why don't I play one of these ones that I haven't played? Or I could play Hollow Knight again. So
how many times have you played through it?
3 or 4 times all the way through.
My word. I've never finished it.
Yeah,
I got distracted partway through. But it was fun.
That's fair. It is. There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of prerequisites for like completing the game, like
right.
to get like best ending. I don't know. We'll see if I feel up to trying the I can't remember the name of the DLC, but they added like a bunch of like boss run type stuff that affects the like the end of the game.
Oh, okay.
So,
is it like setting up for Silksong or what?
I think bits of it do. I think like the main ending does.
Okay.
But I'm not.
Do I need to see that before playing Silksong?
Probably not, because it's really minor.
Okay.
It's mostly about like what happens to Hornet.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been playing that. Also, just talking of games that we picked up recently. Dog wants to come and eat my food. I didn't have enough of his own food. Now he wants mine. We also picked up Cyberpunk because we pirated it because my girlfriend was really interested in trying it out. And we both played it a little bit. She's been playing it a lot, and she's pretty into it. And I've tried it for a little bit, and there are a lot of like really weird things. It's a broken game for sure. But there are things about it that are fun and interesting.
That's what I've heard. Yeah,
So-
I mean, especially if you're playing it on PC,
Mhm.
that seems to be the most stable platform.
Yeah.
Well, that and weirdly enough, Stadia, I think. But who plays on Stadia?
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's just waiting for Google to can it because that's what Google does.
Yeah. Well, they shut down their first-party studios.
Yeah.
So no exclusives. It's like it's just dead in the water.
Yeah, writing's on the wall.
xCloud is like coming to console this fall as part of the Game Pass Ultimate. No additional charge. So it's like it's dead. I feel like that was the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah. But I've been playing a little bit of that, and I haven't gotten very far into it. Like I'm still in like pretty early story. But
Which background did you pick?
I picked a Nomad.
Okay, that was the one I thought looked the most interesting.
Yeah, I picked that because mostly because it has like a little GIF playing like over the selection, and there was a lot of like desert, and I was like, I want to go run around in the desert.
Cyberpunk Mad Max.
Yeah. I'm excited to try that out a little bit more. What else? I could say that I started playing Psychonauts because the second game just came out, and I wanted like a refresher course before I dive into that one.
Okay, I was actually thinking that could be one of our Game Club games at some point, but
yeah, I mean, I would love to because it's been a long time since I played it. I would love.
Yeah, I felt the same way because I wanted to replay it. I never finished it initially, so there's still some stuff there that's going to be new for me. So
I'd be super down to check it out for the podcast. But like I mostly was just like getting it set up.
Gotcha.
It comes like the like camera controls and whatnot are like goofed up right out of the box for some reason, and I don't know if that's just because it's just a really old game. So like that's the kind of stuff that you get with old games is that like the settings are quirky.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually like really play much of it. So
okay,
we'll see. I'd totally be down to doing it as a games club thing.
Just got to make sure we don't do too many platformers. I feel like that's going to be our bent for sure.
What's wrong with platformers? You got something against platformers?
I was just like looking at the list of games we've done and like games that I'd like to do, and they just keep being platformers. I'm like, gotta add a little variety here. That's doing Dead Space will be good.
Yeah,
that'll be something different.
Well, what about you? What have you been playing lately?
So I played a game that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, and that is 12 Minutes. It just came out. I played it on Game Pass, and I'm so glad I did because I was not a fan of it.
Oh no.
This game was announced like in 2018 or 19.
Yeah, I remember.
It's been a few years ago. And it was a really interesting premise. It's like your husband coming home and your wife is there and like she's trying to celebrate some news, and then like a cop comes in and basically you end up dying or nearly dying, and then it like resets time. And there's a whole mystery where it's like a point and click adventure where you're trying to make a little bit of progress each time. Mm-hmm. And it does run in real time. So if you hit the pause button, you can see the clock actively moving.
Okay.
So it's a unique premise, and it has an all-star cast: James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, Willem Dafoe.
Oh wow!
And yeah, so it's like a game developed by one or two people, but I'm guessing that was Microsoft's money.
Yeah.
At work, I don't know. But yeah, I was pretty excited for it, and it just didn't click with me. Like, I really want to like it. I didn't finish it, obviously. I did a few runs, and it just, like I said, it just didn't click, which is one of the great things about Game Pass, right? Mm-hmm. I've saved a good bit of money from games that I was somewhat interested in, and then glad I didn't spend like $15 or $20. But yeah, it doesn't give you a lot of information on what your character is going to do. So because it's a point and click, and I did play this on console, so it was already a little bit awkward of like moving the analog stick around and then pressing the A button to move. But like the things that really broke it for me were like not knowing what things, like how they would interact with an object. The dialogue options moved way too quickly. The very first time loop, the main character just instantly realizes that this is a time loop that he's stuck in. And you can have this whole time loop conversation with your wife after the first time loop. It's like, why would that be he's like, I'm in a time loop, like just instantly. It's a dialogue option, so you don't have to say it, but it's like, why would I already be given that?
Yeah.
I feel like they give the player too much freedom early on, and I think they needed to kind of back off and slowly give a few more dialogue options and whatnot as he experiences it. The other thing is, it doesn't really cut off the lines when something happens. So, when the cop is breaking in, like if something... when he's like pounding on the door and saying like, open the door, this is the police or whatever. And like the characters are just still like finishing their lines. It's like, and the characters are kind of slowly like walking towards the door as they're still giving their last line. And it really pulls you out of the experience. And then like the first time that it happened, he like breaks in, he throws your wife to the ground, is handcuffing her. And I'm like, well, how do I interfere? What do I do? So I'm like clicking on the cop, and he's just like, sir, 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 and just standing there. I'm like, I don't know what I can do about it. And then he just walks over and beats me up, and it time loops. I'm like, I feel like I need to have more direct control, or they need to do a better job of like telling me what I need to do. But it really pulls you out of the experience when he's just watching his wife get thrown to the ground, handcuffed, and he's just saying, sir.
Excuse me? Hold on. Sir? Hello? Hello? Do you mind?
Yeah. So it's more that it's trying to be this very serious, like movie style game, and stuff like that happens where like I accidentally picked up a cup and I didn't realize it, and I just tried to move over to the sink, but he picked up the cup by mistake. I guess I clicked on it. I didn't even see it. And then that barred me from making progress on setting the table. So then I accidentally ate this dessert, or started eating this dessert that she made for me while she's sitting on the couch. And then she gets really mad at me and storms off. And this was in the first loop. I'm like, what did I do? How do I set the table? And then the second loop, I saw there was a cup sitting there. I was like, I picked up the stupid mug, didn't I? So that stuff, like, that can happen early on and just like jeopardize the entire story.
It sounds like it should let you like work through the first loop normally and then open up.
Absolutely. And it needs to slowly start adding more stuff in. This is not a game you're going to be replaying like a million times. This seems like a game that you're going to play through just for the story, right? Yeah. So like if you're going to try and make it more like a movie, make it more like a movie, get me into the story, stop having... I mentioned that the lines don't get cut off when something happens, like the cop breaking the door in. But there are other times when your character or, your wife is saying something and just stops. Like, I don't know where the line went. It's just like the game just stopped reading it. And like, I didn't skip anything. I didn't push a button or move. And like, so it just seems like it needed more work, unfortunately. So
that's too bad. Cause like, I wasn't looking forward to it like as much as it sounds like you were. Yeah. But I was definitely interested in it, and I was excited to like kind of see a trailer for it again recently.
If you're at all intrigued, because some people have been enjoying it. It really seems to be something that you click with or you don't. So, if you get another month of Game Pass or whatever, it might be worth checking out. The loops can end as soon as like 6 to 7 minutes, so you'll figure out pretty early if it's a game you'll enjoy or not.
Okay.
Also recommend playing it on PC just to have a mouse.
Okay. Well, I think I'll stick with Outer Wilds for now. Okay. I still got to finish that one. I'll finish one time loop game before I move on to the next, at least.
Okay. And then I played a couple other games that were in my backlog. I played Mighty Gunvolt, I didn't remember even buying this, but apparently I did. It was in my Steam library.
Did you order Mighty Number 9?
I did not.
Okay.
No. So you know the history of this game. It was like
Yeah.
a Kickstarter goal that was reached pretty early on. And it's not developed by Concept, the Mighty Number 9 team. It's by Inti Creates, the good team. And it's basically, it's like 5 levels long. It's super short. It's also like 99 cents on sale. So, and it's a spin-off of the Azure Striker Gunvolt series, which I haven't played. And then it also introduces Beck and Ekoro from Galgun. So they each kind of have one level, and then Gunvolt has the other 3. And it's basically like a linear Mega Man. So you just go stage by stage rather than picking a boss. But it plays out the same way. You have the stage that you go through, the themed stage, and then there's the boss that you fight at the end. You don't get a power-up from defeating the boss like in Mega Man. So it's really just like it's just a fast-paced, fun action game. But there are 3 characters, so that kind of makes up for the different abilities. There's different routes that you can take, some areas that you just can't access as Beck.
Okay. That's kind of like that... I don't know if was this also Inti Creates, like Bloodstained Curse of the Moon?
Yes. I have not played that one, but I heard
similar sort of concept to that?
Yeah.
Where you have like 3 different characters?
Yeah. I don't know about... Can you pick characters in that one? Can you like switch out? Or do you start the whole game like with that one character?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because I've only ever like seen it.
Okay.
I haven't actually played it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, in this one, you pick a character. I mean, you can beat the game in like 45 minutes. So having 3 characters, all the DLC is here, though. There were like 4 DLC stages that were added in the 3DS version. And in the Steam version, you just get them all. So that does help. It almost doubles the game's length. But the stages themselves are, if you're a Mega Man fan, they're pretty dang easy. The bosses are pretty challenging, though. So I recorded footage of it. I'll probably put it up for this episode.
Okay.
So if you're watching this, you're probably seeing it right now.
Yeah.
Probably seeing me get destroyed by a couple of the bosses. But it's pretty easy. There's a lot of lives. It's just a fun Inti Creates Mega Man style game. So I know you wouldn't enjoy it, but if you're one of those people who does like Mega Man, everyone but Sophia.
Well, here's the thing. I tend to like Mega Man like games, but I don't like Mega Man games. I don't.
Okay, I feel like some explanation is needed.
Well, I just like think games that like have like elements like tight level design, boss fights and stuff like that. Like I like all that. Getting power ups, that's a lot of fun. But it's just something about like the way that Mega Man games specifically are. It just doesn't sit very well with me. I'm trying to think of like examples of
that cements it, though, that we're gonna have to play a Mega Man game at some point.
Oh gosh.
For the game club, because I need more specific details. No, so maybe you would like this game then. Yeah, it's got incredibly tight level design. So
I'd be down to try it out.
And it's got that kind of like pattern memorization style boss fights. So I don't know if that's something about Mega Man that you liked or didn't, but it definitely has that. And they're pretty dang challenging because unlike the Mega Man games, you don't have a power-up that character is weak to.
Okay, so it's just about learning the patterns.
It is just all skill based. There's no like spamming the leaf shield or something.
Can you do that thing with the where you pause the game over and over again?
No, unfortunately they fixed that. So
so
Mighty Gunvolt, I really enjoyed it. If you find it on sale for 99 cents and that's kind of your thing, Mega Man style games, it's definitely worth it, especially with the DLC.
Okay.
And then I played a classic arcade game, the NES version, actually. I was reading an article that mentioned elevator action, and I was like, that's like one of those classic arcade games I've never played. So, and I realized, like, I think I do own the NES version. So, it's one of those kind of Donkey Kong era side scrollers. where like you kind of have you're basically a spy in a building, and you're trying to work your way down to the basement. So each building is 30 floors long, and it starts at a very like kind of narrow peak, and there's doors on on every side, and enemies can just spawn out of any of those. And then you kind of ride the elevators down to the bottom. There's certain areas that you have to have stairs, but it's kind of figuring out where the elevators go to, and then riding those down to a certain point, ducking, and then shooting any of the guards that try and kill you. There's like some, I guess, secret notes or something. It's not explained. There's no story in this game. Behind the red doors that you can get for bonus points. But it's basically you're trying to do like runs of buildings until you run out of lives. So you're trying to get through as many buildings as possible.
Okay. I'm trying to think because it reminds me of something. There was...
Hotel Mario?
No, not Hotel Mario. So I don't know if you know about this, but there used to be like a suite of like desktop games based around the Dilbert comic.
I did not know about this.
Like there was, it was basically stuff that would just like overlay over the desktop and kind of like mess around with stuff. So like there was a cannon where you like fire various characters out to like try and like hit things. There was like one where like Dilbert had a bunch of like gadgets and stuff. He had to try and like go around the office and like fill up your donut box without like having your coworkers swipe all of your gadgets. I'm picturing that game specifically. Where it's like several levels. They're like elevators and doors and walls and stuff, and you're like you're going around trying to collect all the donuts without getting
it's kind of that. I mean, your ultimate goal is just to get to the bottom, get to the basement because you have your getaway car there.
Okay.
So you can go as fast as you want to get to the bottom. I forget if there's a time bonus or not. I just played it today, but.
I need to look at a picture of this elevator action because I'm having a very I keep thinking of either the Dilbert game or like an Atari game.
Okay, think reverse ice climbers with elevators.
Okay, so bad game.
No. But like ice climbers, but good and reverse.
Okay. All right, he's leaving.
So bad game. Ice Climbers is terrible. Yeah. It's a classic, but it's a terrible classic.
I'm so glad that it's immortalized in Smash. What a great game. What a great video game. Okay, I'm looking at it.
It's pretty rudimentary. It was 1983. The NES version came out in 87.
Okay. Oh, it's available. Oh, you can get it on the Switch. You can get it on PlayStation 4.
Got to have the power of the PS4, right, to run elevator action. It's just I don't know if you're interested in arcade style games, but
I think
if you are, it's a decent one to check out.
I'm interested in like the history of stuff like that.
Okay.
Even if like the games themselves aren't like particularly captivating by today's standards, like it's always interesting looking back at that stuff.
Right.
It looks all right.
Yeah, I kind of wish I'd played the actual arcade cabinet. I've never seen one. So, like, I'm a huge arcade fan, so anytime I see a new arcade, I usually go to it. But I've never, ever seen an elevator action cabinet. So I always feel like that's part of the experience of playing an arcade game. I just never feel like the console versions are as interesting.
Yeah.
That's just not why that kind of experience is not why I sit down with a controller.
Yeah.
So...
No, that's that. Yeah, who wants to play Luigi's Mansion on a Game Boy when you can play it on an arcade cabinet?
Oh, that's right. We did play the Luigi's Mansion arcade. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Is that still up?
I don't know. I think they're open now. I think they're like drastically limiting who can.
Oh yeah,
enter.
I forgot that a pandemic happened.
Yeah. And it's still kind of happening.
Yeah, again.
Still very much happening.
Again, wow.
Round 2. So I don't know if they're still open, but Sophia and I played the Luigi's Mansion arcade machine in a local arcade.
Yeah.
So, and I feel bad for any arcades at this point. Like, I mean, how do you keep your stuff clean, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how, like, the cabinets are just all naturally close together. There's a lot of, like, humans touching stuff, so.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's why I'm building my own arcade. Have I told you that?
No, I hadn't heard
I've
that.
been buying a bunch of the arcade one-up cabinets, so.
Ooh.
Yeah. I've spent a good bit of money on it.
Well, next time I come over sometime, I'll have to see your setup.
Yeah. It's already up to 5 cabinets.
Wow, that's more cabinets than me.
Is it 5 more?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to our the main topic of the podcast.
Yeah, let's do
our
this.
game club game. Metroid Other M. So I think it's going to be an interesting discussion because I think you might be surprised by my opinion.
Yeah.
So I don't think you haven't played it since 2010, right? Or have you replayed it since?
No, I hadn't. So the story was like I was super excited for this game when it came out because it was coming out like right next to my birthday. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really excited to have. Or it was like a week or so before my birthday. So I was super excited about it because it was like I had like kind of just recently gotten into Metroid, actually because of Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers was my intro to like a lot of Nintendo properties.
Yeah, same.
So it was like, I kind of like this Samus character. I want to play the games and like see more about her. And then I played Super Metroid. So I was like really excited for Other M, and I got it for my birthday, and I played it like all night, and I loved it, and I was like, the story's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't really fit with her, but like the game's fun enough, and I played it like a good few times, and then I let somebody else borrow the game, and then I moved away. So I like to joke that they legally own that game now because I moved away. So I haven't played it until now.
I'm guessing it's pretty far away.
It's still in West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a good couple hours away. And it would just be really awkward to like message them on Facebook and be like, hey, can I have my game back?
Yeah. Yeah,
I also have my copy of Rayman 2 on the N64.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. That's okay because it's not the best version of the game anyway.
It's not. But I played the inferior PS1 version, so take that.
It's a Dreamcast version that's the best, right?
The Dreamcast, and then there was Rayman 2 Revolution on PS2, which I've never played. I've heard it's the best version.
Yeah.
It added some new content and better graphics.
But anyway, what about you?
So I haven't played it. I got into Metroid in 2004 because I played a demo of Zero Mission back when that was like brand new at Game Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I need this game, but I couldn't afford it. But I could buy the original NES Classics Metroid. So I played the heck out of that original game.
And you still liked Metroid.
It's why I have a fond spot for that, for that first game. It's like, I know it's not very good. It's horrible to introduce people to the series, but I know where everything is, so.
About how old were you when you got that?
9.
Okay. So you had the childhood tolerance for stuff like that.
And the time. This road trip spent like just infinite. Like you had that like one new game and you just played it constantly, even if you just kept dying in the same spot.
Yeah.
Right. Good times.
Good times.
Yeah, so I was like super excited about Metroid Other M. I got it for Christmas that year, 2010. And I remember really enjoying it. but thinking the story was not very good, and that the voice acting wasn't very good. But overall, I remember thinking like this game is not as bad as people make it out to be. So I was very curious because I haven't replayed it since then. If that's still my opinion.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, do we want to go like give our overall impressions first, or do we want to just kind of dive into it? Well, let's get started talking about it specifically.
Okay.
How should we start with the story? Because it kind of is. This is a story heavy Metroid game,
right? It's also worth pointing out, if you don't know, Other M was developed by Team Ninja, which is the Ninja Gaiden team, also the team that went on to make the Neo games. So they make action games, very, very crazy, over the top action games. So that doesn't seem to fit with Metroid. But I don't know. I think this is like a really weird experiment that. Okay, I was going to give my overall thoughts, but no, let's get into the story.
No, you're good. So Samus, this is just after Super Metroid, right?
Correct. Yeah, it begins with like recapping the events of the end of Super Metroid.
Yeah, she wakes up on the Galactic Federation, whatever. They basically polished up her suit after the fight with Mother Brain. Recap of that fight: Mother Brain exploded into a big monster. The baby Metroid gave Samus the Hyper Beam as a sacrifice to help Samus defeat Mother Brain.
Right.
So baby Metroid dies, and Samus is like all traumatized about it.
Yeah, because the baby Metroid viewed her as its mother. So that's a very key story detail. There's a theme that just keeps playing out. There
are a lot of threads that are like connected to a lot of things. So I'm trying to think like what's the best way to go through this, and I'm not doing a good job. So
it's hard to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah, because it really just kind of drops you in and expects you to know about it. It does the bare minimum of like explaining what you need to know.
And the game is told mostly via Samus's narration. Mm-hmm. Which I'm just generally not a fan of video games telling their story through narration. Yeah. I just don't think that works. Like, video games are so much more visual and interactive that you don't need that kind of...
Yeah, I feel like that works best for, like, a movie, and it certainly works worse as a video game, and especially as a Metroid game.
Right,
because it's just like this. She has like this deadpan, kind of monotone way of delivering everything.
Yeah, I messaged you about it. I remember that about the game, and it was like I had hoped I just remembered it worse than it was. I don't blame the voice actors. I just want to point that out. This was definitely voice direction, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, like. I don't know who listened to that and went, "Yep, that's what we want for Samus's voice." But it's almost laughable at times how like
it's so rough. She's like the baby sacrificed itself and gave me somehow gave me the hyper beam. It's like, Samus, do you care?
Yeah, it's really bad. Like, I feel like most of the cast of the game is not particularly great. I think Anthony's probably the best.
Yes.
I mean, that's not saying a whole lot.
Yeah,
because they're all kind of bad.
Yeah.
Just in the fact that he has energy, at least.
Yeah.
Nobody in this game has energy except Anthony, who, like, you can tell the voice actor was trying, but it's like that part is so bad that.
Yeah. So, like,
yeah, back to the story.
Samus, she's all cleaned up, and she's just kind of like vibing out in the galaxy, doing whatever. She gets a distress call, codenamed Baby's Cry, with a distress signal sent with all the urgency of a crying child. So she goes to answer it and arrives at this vessel called the Bottle Ship. It's kind of shaped like a bottle.
And it's a ship.
It's a ship. Whoa! Is this? Wow! This is some coded imagery.
Not all like a baby's bottle. Right? Everything feels so like heavy-handed in this game.
Yeah,
like they're just like, do you get it now? Babies and mothers, and it's just like beats it into you, and just like,
it doesn't feel like it has any sort of like respect for like the viewer's intelligence. It's like, do you get it yet?
It's all symbolism.
She's sad.
Yeah. So like as she lands there, then she notices that there's a Federation ship there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's her former CO, Adam Malkovich, who, if you played Fusion, you would know is the name of the AI that guides her through that game.
Mm-hmm.
And a squad of nobodies who it's like red shirts from Star Trek. Like you just know those guys are going to die as soon as you see them.
Yeah, not Anthony. He survives.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Although they sure make it seem like he dies for a good while.
I feel like like in that scene where they show how he survived, it's like they kind of cut it off. I'm like, wait, how did he survive that? He made an ice ramp into the lava.
I don't think Anthony has a Varia suit, so like,
how did he get off there? Like,
we'll get there.
Yeah.
So he shows up and they're like, oh yeah, we're also answering the distress signal, and Adam is like, you don't move unless I say so. You don't shoot unless I say so.
Yeah, and they show a lengthy cutscene trying to explain why like Samus has respect for him still.
Mm-hmm. She was enrolled in the Galactic Federation Army,
right?
Or enlisted or whatever. Fought with them, and she had this big moment where whenever he gives an order to all the people, they all do a thumbs up, but she does a thumbs down. Oh, and he's like, any objections, lady?
Yeah. That part is just the cringiest thing.
It's just, I don't know. I don't really know like what to say about it, but it's just really rough and uncomfortable.
That's really the best way to put it. It's because you're right. Like I don't even know like how to explain why that's so awful to watch, but it just is, and it goes on so long too.
Yeah, it's just not necessary.
Yeah,
so the mechanically, that all boils down to you have all of your powers. You're just not allowed to use any of them unless Adam gives you permission to. So like everything is locked down. You can't.
Yeah, and he gives one reason. He's like, you know, like if you like released a super bomb in here, it could like blow a whole room to bits and kill everyone inside or whatever. And it's like, okay, you have a point. So then lock down the super bombs. Why everything else?
Yeah,
including things like the grapple beam and the gravity suit and the Varia suit and things that help her survive in situations where she's literally dying and you're watching her health tank decrease and you're like, if he would just give me the gosh dang order.
Yeah.
Like who would do that? Who would be so it's not like she's actively working with him anymore.
I guess there's an angle you could look at it where there's just like sort of like a snarky sort of like spitefulness to it. It's like, well, if he says I can't do anything, then I'll do nothing.
There is like one decent moment towards the end when communications are cut off with Adam, and she activates something on her own, or like two things on her own. She's like, any objections, Adam? And it's like, okay, that was actually...
Yeah, we couldn't have... I wish that had happened like 5 hours earlier.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it was a good moment, but it was way too late.
I would have loved for them to be more tension between the two of them. Like, that could have been really cool, because like they have a history, but she's not part of the Federation anymore. She doesn't have to do anything that they say.
Right.
That could have been a lot more interesting.
Right. because they really play up that like she views him as a father figure because she didn't really have parents. Like she was too young she barely remembered her parents.
Yeah, but
and
they didn't. They didn't even really like do a good job of like showing that.
No, they didn't. They did a horrible job. In fact, they never once showed like any kind of fatherly emotions from from Adam.
Yeah,
it was just him like standing there and just giving orders.
Yeah,
so.
it's not enough for Samus to deadpan. He was like a father figure to me. We need to actually like see that this is a man that like has emotions.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's like the same cutscene, but like he gives the order that like there's like a flashback, and he ends up giving an order that like kills his brother, but like something more important happens because of that sacrifice, and he just kind of like emotionlessly like gives the order.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, I can tell that you really care about this guy. This guy is really worth caring about.
Right. And he spends basically the entire game up in a command center giving orders while the troops kind of all spread out. And so he gives you updates and like mission objectives throughout the game. And you'll occasionally run across the other troopers. They're mainly their corpses. But it's made clear pretty early on that there's a traitor in your midst. So they kind of try and add a mystery element partway through, which I think honestly was the most interesting part. The thing that doesn't really work for me is that I didn't care about anyone, including Samus or Adam, the two main characters. So, like, they tried to set up this crew as like somebody you care about or like a group of people you should care about. Then they proceed to not give you any reasons to care, and then are like, one of these guys is a traitor.
Yeah, I would have loved it if like Samus had stayed silent, because like that like I feel like would add way more to the tension than with her like talking. She was like, nobody there really knows that they can trust her. She doesn't know that she can trust them, but they're all sort of like silently agreeing to like kind of leave each other alone.
Yeah.
For now. I don't know. I would have been.
I don't mind the idea of Samus talking, but I think it should be handled a little bit more like Master Chief style, if you know what I mean. Like few words, but like more meaningful lines. Yeah, memorable lines.
Sir, finishing this fight.
Yeah, I mean, like they gave him more lines in 4 and 5, so maybe closer to that if they had wanted to add more dialogue. But I really think hearing Samus's thoughts ruins the story. Like it does more harm to the story than good.
Yeah, it doesn't leave any room for you to like put pieces together, because like you said, there is like a potential for like an interesting mystery aspect of this, because like you keep finding like you keep encountering like these different creatures, and then you will find like their exploded husk somewhere like later on, and so like there's like this kind of like growing tension of like, what is this thing? But like everything is just kind of like ham-fistedly shoved down your throat.
Right.
Like it would have been.
There's a lot of good ideas.
Cooler if there were like more quiet moments of like problem solving. That being said, fewer moments where the game forces you to like enter first person mode and pixel hunt.
Yes. Okay. So did you have the same issue? Until the last one where there's a dead body right in front of you and it's obvious what you're supposed to look at, or the time where you're supposed to look at like a character in the window and they specifically show you that character in the window and then zoom out so it's clear what you're supposed to look at. Every other one of those, I spent like 2 to 3 minutes being like, what am I supposed to find here? They give you no clues.
Yes, every single time.
Okay. I hated those. I hated those back when I first played it, and I had forgotten about it, and I was like, oh, I hate these like... It's like a Where's Waldo thing, except like Waldo's invisible.
So the first time is when the little like white rabbity thing is like hiding in the bushes, and like so like there's a lot of greenery everywhere, and there's a green bush in the distance that is sort of like shaking a little bit. That's what you have to look at. The second time, it's like,
but it's not consistently moving.
Yeah,
just every once
in a while. So like
so I kept panning past it when it was like still.
Exactly. And the second time, it's when you like drop underground and there's that like the Zebesian hive. I think the Zebesians.
Yeah.
The hive down there, and like it's really dark. And you have
oh no, those bee things. So the Zebesians are the cyborg things that you fight later.
But you're supposed to like look at like these little like giant pillbug things that are the same color as the ground, and they're also barely moving.
Yeah.
The third time, you're in like a simulated field, with like bright green grass, and you're supposed to look for bright green goop on the bright green grass.
That like just looks like part of the scene. Like there's been a huge battle. One of the Federation soldiers is down. Mm-hmm. A bunch of creatures were killed. Why would that be the thing of interest? It just looks like set dressing. Yeah. And again, it's just a lighter shade of green.
Yeah. It's just it's.
I spent the longest time on that one.
Yeah, that one was really frustrating. I remembered vividly the first one, so like it didn't take me too long to find it, but the others were
same.
The others were like really frustrating.
Yeah, it didn't take me as long with the first one because it took me so long the first time I did it in 2010, mm-hmm. and as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, this. I didn't remember where it was. I was still just panning around bushes, but I was like, I remember it was something in the bushes. So
yeah,
little bird.
And it's just so frustrating because it forces you to stay in that mode, searching for the thing that you were supposed to look at until you do.
Yep.
Which is
and it doesn't give you a clue.
Yeah, like this.
What you're supposed to find.
This works for like a point and click adventure game, kind of, but this is not a point and click adventure game.
No, it's a very fast-paced action game. There's also a couple of segments that are done completely in first person. Like there's a boss fight, mm-hmm. and it's the worst one in the game.
Oh, the one where you have to like try and track the tail.
Yep. And it goes on for like 8 years because every time you shoot it with a missile, it does like a tiny bit of chip damage. Mm-hmm. And it's like the longest... I don't know, it's like a quick time event, but it lasts for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's really rough, and it's basically like playing a game of Simon Says with you. You have to keep going back and forth on it.
Yeah,
it's just really rough. I didn't like it had the way that you play this game is you hold the Wii remote sideways, and at most points in the game you can change how you're holding it so that it's facing the screen, and you'll enter first person mode, which lets you kind of like look around the room. You can scan stuff, and you can shoot missiles. Like I think that is an interesting idea, but it is. I really wish that there were a way to shoot missiles in like regular mode.
For sure.
Because there's so many like enemies and bosses that require you to like very quickly enter first person mode to shoot missiles, and you have a really short window for doing it.
Right. Yeah. So basically, the controls are: you move with the D-pad, you jump with the 2 button, and then you shoot and use your charge shot with the 1 button, mm-hmm. and then you have a dodge mechanic. But this only activates when an enemy is actively attacking you. And if you move the D-pad in any given direction, and it really doesn't matter which one. I think I mentioned like that was a small mistake, I feel, on their part. But basically you do an auto dodge if an enemy is attacking, and you have to be actively like repressing in a direction. Yeah. So you can't be continuing to hold a direction, and so it won't work that way. And then A button goes into Morph Ball, which is not used too terribly often.
It's mostly used for finding missile tanks, honestly.
Right. And then, if you go into first person, you just point to the screen to go in first person. The B button is you have to hold the B button to look around. Otherwise, like you're stuck at that one angle. And then the B button is also your lock on, which works most of the time, except when there's multiple targets, like some small enemy in back or a grapple hook point when you're trying to missile the enemy right in front of you.
Yeah.
And then you accidentally grapple past it and then jump into lava. that may or may not have happened to me.
Yeah, and you don't get multi-missiles until like way late in the game.
And it's worth pointing out, you do have a slowdown when you initially go into it, but it's only like 1 second long, and that's about how long it takes for you to basically get your bearings again and then be able to find your reticle. So it's too late at that point. I feel like it needed to be 2 seconds.
Yeah, or just let you shoot missiles in sideways mode.
Yeah, that too. You can also recharge your missiles. Their enemies do not drop missiles to collect like in all the other Metroid games. You refill your missiles by either going to a save station or by holding the Wii remote up in the air and holding the A button, which is also how you can recover health if you're at like I think 1% health or something.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about this because on the one hand, like it seems like really weird for like a Metroid game, but if you like look at this as more of like a like more action focused game, like it kind of makes sense,
right? For sure. And I think honestly, I tried to think about how it would work if there were individual missile drops from enemies, and I think it would lead to a lot more frustrating moments if you didn't have that.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if that was an inclusion by the developers based on player feedback from initial testing.
Yeah.
Like it was like some of the bosses, maybe you ran out of missiles and you're like, okay, how do I get more of these? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the game would be more frustrating if it didn't exist, but at the same time, it can make it too easy sometimes.
It can a little bit. To be fair, like you are lucky if you can like manage to squeeze it in the middle of a battle.
Oh, for sure. Because, especially recharging health. Recharging missiles takes about 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Recharging health can take 5. So most of the bosses in this game do not give you that time.
Well, most enemies also. Enemies are a lot quicker in this. Some of them are like they're a lot stronger as well. They're a lot harder to take down than in like most Metroid games.
Right. And the reason for this, because this is the Ninja Gaiden team, and I really think this game should have been called Metroid Gaiden because it really feels like a Ninja Gaiden game with Metroid. And also this is a side story. So, but there's 2 new main mechanics that I think, or I guess technically 3 that are basically the reason why enemies take more hits. The first, it all kind of revolves around the charge shot. So if you stun an enemy and you start holding the 1 button while moving towards them, Samus will do a lethal finisher on them, which is an insta-kill no matter what. And then if you're charging your charge beam and then you jump on top of an enemy, then you'll do like a mounted blast to its head. And it's not an insta-kill, but it does like way more damage than the regular charge shot.
Yeah.
And then my favorite mechanic, and this one I genuinely loved, holding the charge button and dodging gives you an instant full charge beam.
Yeah.
Because charging in this game takes forever. And in fact, that's one of the mechanics is there are, in addition to energy tanks and missile tanks, there's also charge time decrease tanks. Because I forgot about that.
Charges.
Yeah, that's it. Because I was like, wow, I did not remember the charge beam taking like 10 seconds to charge.
Yeah, it is way slow. Yeah.
Right. But once you learn that dodge and insta charge, because then Samus will also be automatically aiming at the enemy that was attacking you when you did that. So it feels really good to like get instant charges and blast them and just keep doing like multiple dodges to charge shots.
Yeah, I honestly wish that like shooting wasn't the only thing that Samus was able to do to fight. Like I wish she had more moves.
Like a katana.
Well, I don't know. Like she's wearing a super suit. She could probably punch and kick like there's no tomorrow. Like it would be cool to see her doing like more or like using the arm cannon physically to fight enemies back.
Like in Samus Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, the katana was in reference to Ninja Gaiden, because I've played only a demo of the first one, but it plays a lot like this. The combat is very similar. And so it feels like they were trying to adapt like close counter katana-based combat with a gun.
Yeah.
So it always kind of feels like you just want to pull out Ryu Hayabusa's sword and just like cut something in half. But yeah, I think using the arm cannon would be very cool.
Yeah, I think like this. There's definitely a lot to like about the way that combat plays out in the game. The only problem is that like this is a Metroid game, so like you end up spending a lot of time trying not to fight enemies because you don't really get anything out of it.
Right.
And it's a lot easier to like avoid fights when you absolutely can.
But Sophia, I thought you liked Sticker Star, which is the whole game about that.
Yeah, I do like Sticker Star. The problem with
sorry, I had to bring it up.
The difference is that like Sticker Star is at least like I enjoy the aspect of like deciding what stickers work best. Like there's a little bit of fun to it that I enjoy. I find fun in that.
More fun than the combat of Other M.
More fun than the combat of Other M because it takes so long to defeat like a single enemy, and I just want to get through this hallway so I can get to the next hallway.
Wow.
I guess that kind of takes.
Agree to disagree on that one.
I mean, like it gets better when you get like stronger beams.
Oh, for sure.
It gets better, but I still feel like it's really frustrating, especially when you get to post game. Did you play anything post game?
So I guess just minor spoilers here. Once you beat the game, the credits roll, and there really wasn't a final boss. It was this horrible first person, like stuck in first person mode where you're just fending off seemingly countless bug enemies. And then there's a whole like 15-minute scene and then credits.
Well, technically the mother brain.
But there's so much time between
Omega Metroid or whatever.
Right. The Metroid Queen and then that sequence at the very end. There's a good bit of time between those, so it doesn't really feel like a final boss.
If you know what to do on that, then you just like zoom in on
right.
Rayman.
If you know what to do, if you've played Metroid 2, because you kind of defeat her the same way.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so once you beat the game, it's like a very anticlimactic finale, and then basically she goes back to the bottle ship for some reason, and she doesn't say why initially. It turns out she's just trying to grab Adam's helmet. Didn't really feel worth it. But there's like a surprise final boss. Phantoum just comes out of nowhere. And it's just like, hi, I'm here, back from Super Metroid. You didn't kill me then. I guess.
I didn't 100% the game this time, like I wanted to, because I just was so busy with withdrawing. But I remember really, really liking the Phantoum fight.
Oh, it's excellent. Actually, I would say, aside from that Ridley tail battle in first person, I think almost all of the boss fights are at least pretty fun.
Yeah,
excellent.
There's an element of like fast-paced problem solving that is genuinely a lot of fun with the boss encounters.
Right.
So like,
and I think also given that, and this kind of fits for the overall game, but I feel like especially now that the Metroid series is as healthy as it's ever been, like I can look back on this and appreciate the things it does differently more, knowing that we're getting Metroid 5 and Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Some real Metroid games. So
What did we get after Other M? I forget.
So we got nothing until 2016 with Metroid Prime Federation Force.
Okay.
And then the following year, we got Metroid Samus Returns. And that leads us to the present.
So I'm really interested in seeing, like what sort of things that like. I'm interested. I guess what it's going to show up in Dread that happened in, or that like was there mechanically in Other M.
Oh, mechanically?
Yeah, because you have like Zelda Skyward Sword had things like climbing and stamina that kind of showed up later in Breath of the Wild. Link Between Worlds had like the more open ended way of tackling dungeons. So like, I mean,
it's like, first off, they're different developers. Right, like with the Zelda games, that's all the same team, so it makes sense that they would iterate. I don't know that we'll see many like new mechanics taken from Other M in Dread. I think the thing that we got that inspired them the most was probably the lethal finishers, because in Samus Returns you have a counter system, and on a lot of the boss fights during certain moments you can counter and then kind of do these. They're not finishers, but they look a lot like the Other M moves, where she's like jumping on the enemy and blasting it with missiles and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So, if nothing else, I feel like Other M made Samus a much more like fast-paced and formidable character.
Okay.
Which hadn't really been like the Metroid Prime games are obviously incredible, but they're also a lot slower. She controls more like a tank in those.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, she's literally like a ninja in metal armor and a gun.
Yeah. Metroidvania by way of Echo Knight.
I don't know. Would you classify this as a Metroidvania? I guess it kind of is.
It is extraordinarily Metroid light. It is extremely light on the exploration.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, like I want to get through this hallway so I can get to the next hallway. Like aside from like the odd like morph ball sized tunnel branching off here or there's very little like interconnectivity between each sector. Like you take separate elevators to get to each area.
Yeah. It feels like they took a lot of inspiration from Fusion.
Yeah.
Because Fusion did something similar. It was more, the individual areas were more interconnected, but it did something similar where each area was like you went in different elevators to go to different sections of the ship.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of brings me to one of my negatives here. The map. I don't know if you had the same issue. I thought the map was just basically useless in this game. It was so disorienting. So you have this mini map that's obviously zoomed in up in the corner, and it's showing you the shape of the room that you're currently in and where Samus can actively explore.
Yeah.
Then you press the pause button to go to the overhead map, and it's showing you, rather than have a 3D map like the Metroid Prime games, where it gives you like shapes of the room, these are basically the general, like, okay, so say there's like a room, a big like rectangular room, right? And there's a bunch of rocks and cliffs and whatever. That stuff is going to be shown in the mini map, but not on the overworld map. So you're just going to see a box. So rooms look very different in the mini map than they do in the overworld map. And because the camera keeps changing, so too does the basically compass of the mini map. So like when you look at, okay, if you're facing what looks like north in the mini map, you pause it and you're actually like south or east or something.
Yeah, it makes it super easy to get turned around.
I went, and all the hallways look similar in certain areas. So it's like, until you get to those simulated outdoor areas, it's really hard to remember where to go.
Yeah.
And checking the map is like, you have to do a lot of like checking back and forth, pausing, unpausing to see, okay, wait, is this the room that I'm currently in? Is this square? The maps, the rooms themselves look distinctive on the map in the mini map only. On the overworld, they're just like circles and squares.
Yeah.
So I hated that. I hated wasting time looking at two different maps and having to figure out, like, okay, if I turn left, that will be up in this map, which is towards the direction I'm supposed to go.
Yeah. It would have been nice if like you could rotate the map on like the pause screen, or it would like just stay oriented. How that what like one of them would stay oriented the same way.
Right. There was one, I forgot to mention this. There was one story element that I forgot to bring up that I think is really dumb. And I get what they were going for, but it doesn't make it any less stupid. And that is when you encounter the Ridley clone. So you're basically chasing this creature that keeps evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the mysteries of the game. And it turns out that it was a clone of Ridley the whole time.
What? Ridley's back.
Yeah. So Ridley appears in this like scene where they're in the pyrosphere, and she freezes up in this moment because she's like, "Oh, Ridley," or I'm sorry, Ridley.
Ridley.
Yeah, I couldn't get enough emotion out of it.
Oh no, it's Ridley.
But she totally locks up, and this causes Anthony to quote unquote sacrifice himself to save her. And it's this really, it just feels like they wanted a reason for Anthony to quote unquote die, because that was clearly the character that Samus was most connected to outside of Adam.
Yeah, because he's the best character out of the
yes,
the Federation troopers.
Which is not saying much. But...
It's not saying much. You might remember him from when he said, "Remember me." Which is, it's still so funny because like that's the first thing that he says, and this is a character who has never been in the series before.
Remember me? No, I do not.
Yeah, I literally said that like the first time I played it.
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't, like, at that time when I played Other M, I'd played every Metroid game up until that point. So it wasn't like, had I not played one, I probably would have felt like, oh, that was from that game I didn't play. But I had played them. I was like, who is that?
Yeah.
Especially since I knew when it took place. I'm like, wait, so...
Like, Adam at least, was a familiar name because Fusion came out before Other M.
Yeah, so I was like trying to think, was this character like in the intro of Fusion? But no, this takes place before, and he dies. So
I don't know, it's just really weird. But yeah, I think they did that just to like make it so that like I don't know, you have some emotional reason to care about this fight.
Right, but here's the thing. So Samus thought she killed Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
Back in Zero Mission, in the first game, Metroid/Zero Mission. He clearly didn't, because Metroid Prime takes place afterward, and he was resurrected as Meta Ridley. So the Space Pirates kind of did a Darth Vader on him. Mm-hmm. And then slowly over the course of the trilogy, he was healing, and chunks of the armor were popping off, and you could see that he was regrowing body parts underneath. And then in Samus Returns, I guess that's a...
That's fine.
A spoiler. Okay, so she fights him again in that one, where he has almost no...
Are you serious? Ridley shows up again?
So he has like very few parts. He's like at the end of his Meta Ridley stage at that point. Mm-hmm. So clearly he's already quote unquote died and then come back before.
Yeah.
So seeing him reappear is like...
This is Metroid Nemesis system.
Yeah, it kind of is. But it's like, it's such a dumb moment because it's already happened. And by the time Other M came out, like Metroid Prime came out in 2002. This game came out in 2010. So the whole like, oh, Ridley's back? Like, that had already happened. And technically, it had already happened a second time prior to that in Super Metroid. Because players probably thought they killed Ridley in the first game too. And then he came back in Super. Yeah, it's like... She's seen him enough times and fought him enough times that this should not be a shock. Not to mention that she knows it's a clone. It's not really Ridley.
If it were me, I would have been mad as heck. I would have been frustrated. I would be so angry. Is like, I can't believe you're still around. I thought I was done with you. I'm gonna put you in the ground, old man.
Yeah, this should have been like a sassy moment, angry plus sass.
Like the thing is, they try so hard to make Samus feel like she's weak. She's not very strong, except for when she is.
Which I think would have made more sense had it not come at like the end of the timeline. Like, she's very experienced at this point. If you wanted to tell this kind of story where like you actually focus on her insecurities and whatnot, that should have happened like in the first game or second game, like a prequel or after Zero Mission.
Yeah, exactly. Like, give us something close to like the annihilation of her home world.
Yeah.
Like, give us the game where she's being taken up by the Chozo, and they're like fusing their DNA with her and teaching her their ways and giving her the power armor and like
right, because that's when she was like, if you've read the manga, like she did have, she had more human emotions and flaws, but it's like over the course of how many games have taken place at this point?
I don't know.
What, like 7, 8 before Other M? It's like at this point she's like a battle-hardened bounty hunter who's seen everything. So
yeah,
like nothing should faze her at this point.
They just go so hard and trying to make her seem like the weak, frail woman.
That scene with Adam when he sacrifices himself, like the whole that whole scene is like him trying to say like how weak he is, but the whole time she's played off as the weakling, like that can barely walk and is like, no, Adam, stop. It's like it's there's a huge disconnect between what he's saying and what's actually happening in the scene.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work.
It just doesn't work so hard. It was trying, like the music is swelling and like Samus is like almost crying and like it's this big emotional thing and I'm just like, I don't care about this fool. Let him eject himself into space.
Yeah. Yeah, and like that kind of wraps up the last thread that might have tied into other games. Like this, if you're trying to play through the Metroid series before Dread, you don't need to play Other M.
Yeah.
Like if you're curious about it, it's a fun action game. But
if you absolutely want to know, like I'm sure on YouTube you can find like after you beat the game, you get like movie mode, which is basically all of the cutscenes and like little bits of pre-recorded gameplay. Stitch it together.
Don't play Other M for the story. It has fun gameplay, a lot of ideas that don't fully work. They're close. I feel like this was close to being something great.
The boss fights are really good. Yeah. I wish the other thing that I super missed, like there are two tracks that I can think of that are really good. There's the Phantoon boss fight, and there's the Bob Door Bugs.
Yeah.
Theme. Also, I hate the Bomb Door Bugs so much. I hate them so much. Oh my gosh, I hate them so much. I hate them so much. Anyway.
So much raw emotion there.
Anyway, like, the music is like mostly just kind of ambient.
Yeah.
Mostly like atmospheric sounds and stuff. Like there's not a lot like I can't think of a single like melody.
There's a couple remixes of classic tracks, but they're not better than the original, and they're not better than the remixes Nintendo's already done and has done since. So like this is I played through the game and I thought about like, we should talk about the music, and then I was like, what music? Yeah. Like I've never once gone, you know what, I want to listen to some Metroid music. I'm going to put on the Other M OST. Like it's always Super Metroid or Metroid Prime. or one of the Prime games.
It's so weird because like I downloaded it recently to listen to it.
Oh, did you?
I wanted to like see if you know, maybe I just forgot that it had some good music, and it's like it's either like too quiet and slow or like just way too loud.
Yeah, I thought the ice area was a pretty good theme, but it was very quiet.
I don't know. Like I
And
said,
it's no Phendrana drifts for that. That's for sure.
No, and you'd be hard pressed to find something as good as Phendrana.
That's just like that's like one of the best Metroid themes ever.
Yeah, Metroid Prime just had a lot of really good buffs.
It did, and Super. I think those are like those two games have the two best soundtracks in the series. Because Super also introduced the Ridley theme.
Yeah. Which there was a good mix of that in Other M.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of forgotten about that.
The fight itself was actually a lot of fun because like once Samus like womans up and starts actually like being a galactic bounty hunter, it's a lot of fun. It's very tense. You have to like be very very quick about dodging, and if you get caught by Ridley, there's like a little bit where like he like drags you along the wall and then like slams you into the ground. It's like it's very cool. Very like I liked the fight itself. It was just like the whole like emotional like it's when the story gets in front of the gameplay that Metroid Other M is a bad game.
Yeah. I would say overall, though, if anything, I may have enjoyed it slightly more this time around. Mm-hmm. The first-person thing didn't bother me nearly as much as it did the first time that I played it. I don't know if there was something wrong with my sensor bar, but it used to be like so sensitive that if I moved my hand off of the IR sensor on the Wii remote, it would just go straight into first-person mode or toggle back and forth really fast. So I think that was just a glitch that was happening because I didn't have that issue this time. And I kind of realized like my opinion on the game really hasn't changed in 10 years or 11 years, I guess. Except for the motion controls that I thought were not as bad as I remember. They're not great. And like I said, the lock-on is the worst part of it, I felt. The number of times I would try and lock onto something and it would go to something in back of it or some smaller enemy. Mm-hmm. Not to mention that, again, the button to lock on is also your camera panning button. We didn't mention, you can't move in first person. So when you go to first person, you're locked in place. There's no dodge button. There's no movement. So that's why there's a second of slow down time.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes it frustrating because they're like one of the big reasons that I don't like the bomb door bugs is because like in order to take them down, you have to like stun them and then enter first person mode and charge up a super missile and then hit them with it, and you have like so little time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the only boss battle that I would say I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay, but I didn't like it as much as the other ones was I don't know what it was even called. It was like the square face thing.
Oh, Nightmare.
The green, what?
Nightmare.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it was in Fusion.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the whole gravity room.
I had forgotten that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we're replaying Fusion. I haven't played that one in forever, so.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that one.
It looks so ugly in this game.
Well, it didn't look much better in Fusion. Don't worry.
No, but
that's kind of the point, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't think it worked as well in the arena that they had it in.
Yeah, it just like I remember really liking like being excited that it showed up, but like at first, but this second time playing it. I was just kind of confused as to why it was here.
Yeah, because like she hasn't encountered that yet. Like Fantoon makes sense because that was part of Zebus that was being restored by MB. Yeah. Although she didn't bring back Crocomire, poor Crocomire.
Yeah, I guess they couldn't figure out a cool way to bring Crocomire back.
Is there a cool way to bring him back?
You reference it in one of those Castlevania games where his skull is there.
Because he got cut from Zero Mission, so he's only ever been in one game.
Did they really?
Yeah, he was supposed to be in Zero Mission, and there's even, I think if you use
is it
an
one of those,
emulator,
like, you can access it?
Yeah, you can still
go
access
debug
his
it?
sprite, and I think he still has animation, but so it must have been pretty late in development.
That's wild.
I don't know where he would have been, but yeah, Crocomire's like that joke of the Metroid bosses.
Wow, what a great boss!
He just looks so stupid too.
6 eyes, and he can't be a good boss.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to mention with Ridley, I feel like people forget that Ridley is actually really smart and like an intelligent being.
Yeah.
Because he's so rarely portrayed as that. And this game, I think, only helped further that idea that Ridley is just a beast that has no thoughts or feelings or emotions.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's a conniving villain. Like,
yeah, like he's the leader of the space pirates.
Yeah, he can talk. He can think for himself. I don't know. It's like that always bothers me when it's like, oh, he's just a beast that goes, "Rah!" And that's like his character. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
They need to make him talk again. I don't know. That may not go well. He talked in the manga.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's just hard to portray that. It's easier just to make him go. It's a lot easier to use his SNES sound sample.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's about it, I think. The one little thing I wanted to. These are just a couple of nitpicks. I don't like Samus's suit in this game.
Yeah.
I don't like the look of it. It's a little too round and anime like. It doesn't look enough like. I mean, like, I get they're trying to play more on the, like, it's a suit that is created of energy and she can just call it at any time rather than something she gets in and out of. But it's still, like, I like the look of Prime's suit best. But even the way the suit looked in, like, Super, it's just, I don't know, there's something about the helmet and the shoulders that just doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't like seeing her face through the visor all the time. That's a nitpick, but it's like they were doing that so you could try and see more quote unquote emotion. But
well, because you sure weren't going to get any of it from her voice.
Yeah, it just looks bad and kind of awkward, and it makes her head look really small. Like this helmet makes her head look really small. Yeah,
I didn't like the colors. I
didn't either.
I don't know if it was just like the lighting or like specifically the colors, but like it felt like really, I don't know, like garish, I guess.
Well, what about that?
Not like a good way, and I don't know if it was just the lighting.
Yeah, I also don't like that they made the Varia suit just a color palette swap. Like, there's no new armor added on.
Well, and it's even worse with the gravity suit.
Oh yeah, I was going to get to that.
It's just a purple outline.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like, I liked her purple suit from Prime. I thought it looked cool, like the purple and red.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't like her suit. I don't like the helmet. I don't like seeing her face through it.
How does this? Also, here's a thought. So, like, this game raises like interesting questions. Like, how does the suit work? Is it like through force of will or something?
So, like, that's kind of how it's explained, as like her DNA can summon it or something. Like, it's never explained super well, but like that thing on her back on the Zero suit apparently like can call it, and like her DNA is synced with it, her Chozo DNA. That's always been like what it says in like wikis and any kind of instruction manual, but we've never seen it before, and it just looks kind of weird, especially those scenes where it's like fizzling in and out of existence.
Yeah,
it's like what's happening? Like, is it teleporting from some other location onto her?
Is she able to like? Is it like those bike helmets that like are like gel beads that like become hard on
Yeah,
contact or like what?
I don't know.
If you get too sad, can you not put on your spacesuit?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing like that makes that scene so horrible is like he shot her with one ice beam and she went down and was struggling to walk, like unconscious.
She didn't even have the Metroid vaccine yet. That's the next game. She's not
Right.
vulnerable to ice beam.
Right. It's really stupid. And again, like in that scene, Adam is talking about how like she's the only one, like she's the savior of the universe. Like she's the only one that can stop Ridley. No one else can really stand up to him.
Also,
like,
don't use your power bombs.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like this whole game, you see her doing like the coolest stuff, like jumping on enemies, blasting them to pieces, like just fearlessly doing all this stuff because at this point she's had like 8 games to practice of fighting all kinds of crazy creatures. But then like she can barely walk from getting shot by an ice beam once. And is knocked unconscious.
Yeah. It's because she's a frail woman. And it's because the day has to be ultimately be saved by a man.
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird scene, like I said. It's like they're saying the right words, but then showing like the worst thing possible for it.
Yeah, like I don't know. A lot needed to happen in order to like make me care about that moment. Like they really needed to work harder to make Adam like a character that I cared about.
Right. Or at the very least had some horrible injury that caused that she had to even recover at all.
Yeah.
Like,
and then work that into the gameplay, like maybe for the last little bit of the or like a little bit before like the final fight, like you're stuck in Zero Suit.
Yeah, that would have been a cool twist. But just like, for the cutscene.
Just for the cutscene.
Yeah.
Just so that we can have an emotional moment of vulnerability.
Yep. So, last question.
Yeah.
If there's one thing you could change about this game, what would it be? Like not like something that would be achievable, as opposed to like if they did a remaster or something, or just last minute in development. Is there anything you think they could change, like a mechanic or like the story is, I think, too hard to really. If you want to make like one change to it.
One change, I guess I honestly would just love for there to be like I miss that iconic music.
Yeah.
Like that, I realize that the story is like, if they were to remaster it, they kind of would have to do the story again, the same way. So like, I don't really see them changing that. Probably would keep the voice files the same. I just would love for there to be like, good music.
Yeah,
because like I said, there were only like 3 tracks that were that like I remember.
Right.
The rest is like I've listened to like the soundtrack alone recently, and it's just like there's not a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, I think for me, I would have to go controls. So I would have had this game play with a nunchuck. So I think the best way that this could have worked would be having the. I'm trying to think what you do for jump. Because I think it should be a button that puts you into first person. Like the B button would work really well for that.
Are you still thinking with like the Wii remote?
Yeah, but like you'd be already pointing the Wii remote at the screen, so you just have a nunchuck.
Probably Z.
Yeah, that could work. I think also having a button.
Hold down Z to go into first person mode.
I think also like having a button that you pushed in addition to a direction to do a dodge. I didn't really mention this. I did in a message to you, but like there's certain times in the game, especially with small enemies, like that one like cocoon boss fight.
Mm-hmm.
where it's like there's so many enemies and just chaos everywhere, and you can't tell who's attacking you. So you just kind of jiggle the D-pad around, and you just dodge like 90% of it.
Yeah.
So
you just see Samus kind of juddering along there,
Yeah.
and then she'll like do a hard dive.
Yeah, like I basically just did circles with the D-pad, and that gets you out of a good amount of situations. So, but yeah, I think like if you were using a Wii Remote and nunchuck, you'd automatically be pointing the Wii Remote at the screen already.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't be as jarring to go to first person. Like you wouldn't have to take your hand off of the controller to do so.
Well, it might not even like consider this. You might not even need to go into first person mode because you're already pointing at the screen. You could just like select what Samus is targeting at, and then it basically becomes a twin stick shooter.
That's interesting. Or at the very least have like an on-screen reticle that you could then lock on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I just need to explain it in my own way for it to make sense.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, okay, so I think that about wraps it up, I think.
Yeah. Wow, what a game.
Yeah, here's the thing. I actually enjoyed it more than I remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was only because of the first person thing. Like everything else was almost exactly how I remember it.
Yeah.
So I still think it's a fun game. I think you need to go into it, if you are going to play it, go into it with the mindset that this is Metroid Gaiden. That this is similar to Hyrule Warriors or something, where it's like a crossover of.
Yeah, this is a spin-off Metroid game.
Right.
This is.
But Gaiden makes sense. Like that literally means side story. So.
Okay.
And it plays like Ninja Gaiden. So.
That too. So double meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get the chance, and especially before Dread comes out, I think it's worth giving a shot. The story is like, you could really make a case for just like if you unlock that movie mode, get a bunch of friends together and just have a good time like laughing at the story, because it's just so bad. Yeah,
there's good ideas in there. I think it's mostly that the characters are so bad that it makes the moments that could have been decent fall flat.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I'm really not for the whole like Samus and the Galactic Federation thing. It just is like such a weird arc for her story.
Wait, what specifically?
Just like the whole backstory of her being in the Galactic Federation.
Yeah.
It just seems really weird.
Yeah. I think there's a reason that they hadn't touched on that arc in the past. Like that's always been mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they've been better off just not really covering that. I didn't mind the Federation troopers. It was more the whole Adam connection that like.
Yeah, like if they'd had no previous connection and Adam was just like a guy,
right?
Like I feel like that could have worked. There could have been like some tension about like Samus being like, well, whatever. I'm good. Yeah. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And there's like there's tension from that because Adam doesn't want her to be doing that. But.
Right. And I do think this game does a decent job of continuing to solidify that idea that the Federation are not necessarily the good guys. Like Fusion really starts to play into that. But I do think this kind of leads into Fusion, not story-wise necessarily, just in that you can see there's a continued lack of trust or a growing lack of trust in Samus with the Federation.
Yeah.
Especially considering that like Adam was not a fan of what was happening here. And then there was that scene of Anthony basically disagreeing with what's-his-face commander guy that showed up at the end. So the greatest character in Metroid.
Yeah. Remember me? Will you remember me? Will I be remembered?
Yeah, so that's Other M. Were we going to do Fusion next directly?
I think that that was the plan. Unless you had something else that you were jonesing to do.
Not necessarily.
Okay. Yeah, let's do Fusion. That should be a little easier for me to get into because I can load that up on my 3DS and play it anywhere.
That's true. I have my. I actually have the legal 3DS version.
Ah, snap! That's right, because you
I
were
was
on
an
the ground. You were
ambassador.
on the ground floor.
Yeah. For some reason, those running those Game Boy Advance games though disables the sleep feature. So if you
Oh.
flip your 3DS down, it's still running that screen the whole time.
Well, I'll probably be doing it through like an emulator on the 3DS.
Oh, for sure. I assumed. I was just giving you a weird fun fact, I guess, as opposed to like advice.
And now it's time for fun stories with Zachary.
Useless information.
Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry I slam dunked your fun story.
Yeah, so we'll be doing Fusion next. Are we thinking 3 or 4 weeks on this?
I mean, it's not a very long game,
3.
is it?
It isn't. We could probably do it in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I guess we'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
We'll say 3, and then if we finish it earlier, we'll do it earlier.
Yeah. You'll be hearing about it when we talk about it.
Whenever that is.
Alrighty.
Well, that was our show then.
Yeah,
This
thanks for
is-
listening.
Almost 2 hours. Actually, it'll be less than that because I'll be cutting a little bit out.
Yeah. If I don't know if you weren't able to cut it out, special guest Ramon the dog.
I'm sure I'll leave like some in there.
Yeah.
Some of it may not be able to be cut out.
or you'll cut them out and put them all in now.
Just an audio montage. All right. Well, thank you for listening.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next time talking about a good Metroid game. A better Metroid game.
Yeah, I think that's more fair.
The question mark? Is it? I remember liking it.
I do too. It's like
It is more of a proper Metroid game. I remember.
yeah, it is. I think I like it more than Metroid 2, but it's definitely below Zero Mission and Super for me.
I know it's a lot more straightforward of a Metroid game,
For sure.
but we'll see.
And it has a boss I've forgotten about. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that was from Fusion.
Yeah. I forgot it was another M.
Yeah, well,
And then
everything that shows
I
up
got
in
to the
Other M.
gravity room and I was like, oh, this, okay. I forgot about this part.
I completely forgot about it. Almost no character in this game has a reason to be there.
Yeah.
Any of the bosses, they're just like, oh, this is here now. Cool.
They just made up like a bunch of characters. Like, who's Madeline? Why does she matter?
Yeah, they saved her so they can bring her back. What if she shows up in Dread?
I hope not. Because I don't care about her. Or her hair clip.
Well, that wasn't the real Madeline.
Oh.
That was MB.
Whoa. What do you think that stands for? Mother Brain?
She looks so much like a DOA character. Like the whole time I was just like, it doesn't look like a Metroid character. It just looks like she'd be in the next Dead or Alive game.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe should have been. I probably would have worked out better than this game did.
That'd be the craziest thing if she was DLC for what's the new one? DOA 6?
I think so. I don't know. I don't really keep track of it.
Yeah. I've never played any of them. I don't think you can like not know of Dead or Alive.
Yeah.
If they're nothing else for the jokes.
Yeah, well, and also like I think you have to be like, I don't know, like a particular kind of person to like want to play that kind of game. But, you know, who am I?
No, wait, which one? The
who am I just saying?
Extreme series or the
Oh yeah,
or the fighting games?
I was thinking Extreme.
Oh, okay. I was thinking the fighting games. I was
okay. Well, then I guess a little bit of a self-report then, huh?
I was gonna say, like, I think you just exposed yourself there.
Now that's extreme.
This is supposed to be our outro.
We could fade out to this. This is great.
Yeah, let's just cut it there.
Okay.